Hey, yo guys, and we're back. It does look like the players got their pairings. One moment. There's a sneeze there. Nope, it has escaped me. That's frustrating. That is not the mood. All right, but people are getting into their seats, so we'll go ahead. Your boy's gonna jump quickly from table to table to table, see what interesting matchup we can find for our game one, and then we'll jump into the gameplay. I don't know if I'm watching the Tokoyami mirror, not gonna lie. Yeah, good luck to everyone participating around. Kamui Woods versus All Might. Sick. Yeah, you know what? Why not? Let's do this one. Let's watch some dope gameplay between Kamui and All Might. There we go. Gonna fill in all the informations as is necessary real quick. Oh, that thing's coming back. All right. Let's see. Player one is our good Sir Craft. And our player two is... Alright, sir. Edit that accordingly. There we go. Absolutely. Let's hope for some sick gameplay. And it should be, right? Between All Might and Kamui, it should be pretty solid. That is 29 right there. What are your thoughts on the new Baku card? I think the new Baku card is really sick. I think it's going to take a while for the player base to be used to it in terms of get used to it in terms of how to play around. Because don't get me wrong, his response is incredibly powerful. But there are ways that you can kind of sequence your plays to mitigate how strong it is against you. So there are things that you'll be able to do to keep in mind to be able to make it easier for you, for sure, for sure. But otherwise, I think it's solid, you know, giving the powerful buff, which is like, right, like here's the thing. You could give one attack, you know, just +2 damage. But the thing is with giving it the powerful rating an additional 2 is that it's so much more than right. That it represents 2 damage that scales with every momentum instead. So just that one enhance could actually represent an additional, you know, 2, 4, 6, 8 damage instead of just the base 2, which is also incredibly powerful. So help slashing with the flip rivals foundations. True. I mean, you know, maybe opt to not respond in that case if your opponent's just going to use it against you. Alrighty, we got All Might 2 versus Kamui Woods. All Might has an enhance. Discard the top 4 cards of your deck, and then your attack gets +2 damage. If it's blocked, your next attack gets also +2 damage, which is sick, which means that it's a buff that's going to stick around. And funny enough, the more your opponent blocks, and the more you do, like you do his enhance pump, the more that like moves along, which is funny. And then enhance, you get to discard a momentum, draw a card, and if the attack's not blocked, you get to draw an additional card. So can't hate on that. Did we get a repair? Looks like we might have gotten a repair. You'll have to see it. All right, let's see if I can find you guys a matchup. That's tough, but it's fine. We'll find another one. I mean, we could just follow Craft if we want to see Comedy Woods, but we can jump from table to table, see what's up. Oh, actually, hey, it's still an All Might, but it's a little bit more spicy, guys. Because it's all my true form. All right, we'll go ahead and update that real quick. Let's see, so now we have Craft versus Akko. A lot of recurring names, which is awesome. I love to see the community band around and consistently keep coming to this. Just track and see how well players are doing. So true form is going to be really exciting to see for sure. So for those guys who don't know, the uninitiated, true form effectively uses other All Might cards for advantage, which is really cool. Oh, are you serious? Is it another repair? Okay, no, we're just fixing the cameras. Sounds good. I was about to be really sad. All right, so Conway Woods coasts at A. Oh, let's pull it up. So what are your thoughts on the new stain? I wouldn't know. I haven't seen it. All right, let's see. Oh, that's for me. Kamui coasts. Okay, so Kamui is at 20 life. Good to know. It'll be 20 versus 30. Stain isn't going to come out this set. I mean, it depends, right? It depends who you are. Because if you're Tam, set 2 comes out in 2023. So. Stains at the LA port. That's pretty good. All right, looks like our true form will go for another full mull. Find a hand. I think if I had 3 foundations, I would just I would probably just leave it as is. 3 to 4 if I was a 7-hander. Like, just try and not be too greedy about it, right? Because if I get a hand that's all orange, I'll feel incredibly terrible. So, all right, so it does look like we're going for our full mulls here as our true form player. Only way to play is greed. I mean, I'm a greedy player. I recognize that. How many rounds this evening? 3 rounds for our Wednesday weeklies. We tried to make them a bit more of a locals vibe and get people comfortable. You know, get your games in, have a good time, enjoy locals, and then go and have a good night or good evening, depending on if you're a Pacific timer that's able to get in on these tournaments. And then enjoy the rest of your week. You missed out by 3 minutes. Was a walk with the dog and forgot to sign up. That's tough, homie. Always get there next week, you know? You like the styles? Awesome. I mean, you know, we're always open to to bettering it, to improving. So if you guys have recommendations in terms of things that you'd like to see different, I know that a lot of players would like us to open up in terms of the time zones and availability as we do tournaments, and we've 100% hearing that. And we've been working to try and make that better. You know, I'm not gonna lie, the fact that I have so many character cards can actually really help you be greedy with your checks, because you have so many 6 checks in your deck in between all the character cards, like. All right, so it does seem like our true form player found 3 foundations to move on to the next turn. And now moving on to Conway Wood's turn. 4 Great Brush and 4 Gale Force Immunity. Whew. Well, both sides finding their coordinated efforts. All right, now we're checking a 3, hitting a 5. We're checking a 4, and hitting a 3. We will go ahead and commit our Conway Woods, and then we're going to pass 5. So build 5, pretty solid on the back foot, especially with Conway Woods. I'm just getting to utilize your character card, you know, the flip-flop, you know, committing on committing that he does. Is super good advantage for that character. So this is conjecture, because I've only played against Conway Woods a couple of times. But I feel like eventually, whenever you do strike him, you just kind of want to make attacks that are really bad to block, to just, you know, decentivize him from being able to use his enhance to like recommit and uncommit and all that kind of stuff. So you kind of want to get your attacks in while you can, while he is committed, and then try and do so in a way that really he'd rather not block. Wednesdays are terrible. That's unfortunate, homie. But there are other dates, right? You could play. There's a Tuesday weekly with Carta Magica. Red Riot has Fridays that they do, I believe, and then on Sundays PPG has their weeklies, typically if they're not out doing another tournament, like they did TCG Con this past weekend. So there are a bunch available throughout the week if you guys want to play. Tommy Woods has the same counter as Eraser, which is, oh, I mean, of course, I mean, a lot of characters fall into that range of just throws will do them in. You know, throws are incredibly solid. I throw in Tape Toss, and it's always a hitter versus Kamui. Yep. I mean, in general, any deck that I can add a throw into, I will. Because, like, you put your opponent in a position where if they, like, when it comes to having cards like throws, your opponent's life total, like, for a lot of decks when it comes to TCG, like TCGs, or a lot of games, the only health that matters is the last health, right? Your last HP is the only one that matters because that's the only one that dictates between win and lose. But the thing is that when you're talking about throws, that 1 HP no longer becomes just your last HP. Your last HP isn't 1. Your last HP is however much half the damage they can turn a throw into, right? So you kind of need to mitigate for that now. Now, your bottom range isn't 1. Your bottom range could be like, you know, as high as like 7 to 10, you know, depending on how beefy they can make the attack, So we will see the block here, and Okamui will get a trigger. And now you're just pretty distant. Well, no, I mean, not really, right? He had to commit 3 to be able to actually block it. But I do recommend here that that Akko probably just builds, coasts a little bit, you know. While you do start at 30 HP, you do end up losing more HP as the turns go by, so. Oof, and a check 3 on a 5. Not the end of the world. That is an incredibly bad check, especially in this deck because of how many 6 checks you have. So, that is definitely not the best. Oh, did look like we took some damage here. Not sure if you saw what I said yesterday, but I personally believe All Might and Deku 2 will be sideboardable to each other. That makes sense. They're very much characters that lend themselves to that for sure. True, true. Both do be very punchy. It's very thematic, right? Alright, we blocked. Now Not much in the tank, though. I do think we just build here if we can. Nope. Looks like we're keeping on the aggression. And we're going to check a 6. Bro, so many 6 checks in this deck. So this is also a place you can get, right? You can put Kamui in a position where you just can't block anymore. It's not possible though, but it is something that you can do. How's the All Might deck supposed to function? The All Might deck functions around using other All Might cards to reap some benefit. So if I bring up the card, at the start of your turn you lose 3 health, and then your first form once per game. You get to place 1 copy of All Might, any version from your hand on top of this character, and for the rest of the turn, you may use the abilities of that version. So he becomes those versions of All Might temporarily once per game, and then in hand you get to pitch an All Might to give the attack 3 damage and draw a card. So you're using a bunch of All Mights to clear your checks, make your attacks more deadly, and then alternatively you can also turn into the All Might. So we do have craft going down to 11 health, and now we're gonna build 1 foundation. I mean, we are a lofty life total, and then we're going to get an audio jack and then call it. Really solid. Yeah, it is a very solid turn. But that's what this deck does, right? Like, not only is he running like the 6 check foundations, but like every character is a 6 check, right? So you can't, like, the thing with decks like these, because they run so many character cards, you can actually afford to be greedier with your turns. You can afford to press because you get so much not free, but like your checks are way smoother just behind the fact that you can actually clear way more aggressive checks because of the amount of 6 checks in your deck. Yeah, so Kamui typically plays a slower game plan. So if you can utilize the turn like he did again, and Kamui just not checking super smoothly here. It's not bad. It's only going to commit 1, but every single foundation that gets committed is 1 less for Kamui to be able to block, which is what he wants to do, right? Those multiple blockchains. We will see our enhance to go ahead and buff up our attack. And the way Kamui Woods work is basically every single time Kamui uncommits himself, his enhance like stacks on itself. I believe he might have used an enhance that cost life. I could be wrong though. Well, it's been 2 turns, right? At the start of your turn, you lose 3 health, so you do that twice. All right, we're just going to take, so going down to 18. Texas Smash, baby. Right? This is Texas or Detroit? How good am I getting at knowing my cards? Yeah, it's a Texas Smash, baby. Another check 6. Pretty good. Coordinator Effort's a good card. You know, I can't even deny. Like, it is such a good card. Oh my god. Just seeing it in action is just like, yep. You definitely can do that. Alright, so it does look like we're going to keep on going with a slower turn for Kamui. This is where Kamui wants to be, right? Like, he's going to have a bunch of foundations, going to be able to block a million times. And now it's just like, how do you mitigate him blocking, right? So. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's right, Small Might, baby. All right, so it looks like we're gonna stop there. We're gonna build. We're gonna unflip one of our foundations, and now we're passing with 5 standing. All right, we are going to review and draw into a full hand here. We're currently in game 1. Are we going to be aggressive? Yes, we're going to be aggressive. And we're going to start off with a jab. Yes, with a hardened jab. You have their list. Is this a 12-16 foundation All-Might? I'm not. I don't actually have access to the lists yet, unfortunately. We get access to lists, or at least I get access to lists to be able to make those metagame charts and stuff like that as after the event. So, but you guys are very much welcome to go ask Aku Taco about his list in between rounds if he's not playing, or after the event. On the main Discord, which if you guys are not on there, it's discord.gg/mhaccg. I think you guys are all here. You guys are probably all in the Discord. Now, super rejuvenation isn't crazy, but it's sufficient to be able to put in some work. So, all right, and now that the attack was blocked, Kamui gets to reactive itself, and that's where it gets so dangerous, right? It just becomes harder and harder. The more and more your attacks end up getting blocked, then the harder it is to punch through. So you kind of want to get in there big, fast, fast and quickly, and be able to mitigate the fact that he gets there's diminishing returns to attacking him over and over again. Just wondering if this is based off the one Shane, you, and I will both design 16 characters, 20 attacks, and 15 foundations. 15 foundations, huh? I mean, opponent did end up only getting 3 foundations turn 1, and is currently standing on 4 after 4 turns, so it's very much possible. It's a blast. I would imagine playing with that many character cards is a good time. Right, and I guess you can afford to have less foundations just because you're like half your deck is like 6 checks. Yeah, looks like we're going to super rejuve, but take it. So going to 10. Yep, super aggro using character as main checks makes sense to me. Ooh, spicy card. We don't see that card all too often. I think it's destroy evil villains. Capture evildoers. If you throw what I said into a thesaurus, it comes out the same. So we clear our card pool, and now we can just keep being aggro, which is awesome. And of course, we can pitch our All Mights to be able to draw cards and such. I'm not gonna lie, this deck's a lot of fun. I might actually just try it out myself. This deck looks like a good time. Very solid, great way to keep on, and it makes sense, right? Like if you're a deck that's low, like a low foundation deck, then clear your card pool and just keep on clearing those 6 check, 6 check, 6 check. All right, so we're going back in with the chop. And it looks like Kamui has a card in hand. Has 2 cards in hand. So 2 blocks available at the moment. Oof. Getting into those beefy attacks now. Pull up the All Might cards. We got a Detroit Smash incoming. I still need some Texas Smash and Plus Ultras, but I really like it. Fair, fair. Alright, so Detroit Smash beefy here. Got the big beef stick, and we do have some momentum to play with, so there's some stuff we can do there. And this is amazing, right? Like you can 100% afford in Small Might to just lower down your max hand size to draw 3 cards. Like you do not care. You are just going in at this point. So, all right, now we're gonna get our pitch, and we're gonna get our attack buff. We're gonna draw our card. The Small Might deck incorporate cards from DLC. I mean, it does, right? Because you have more All Mights to play with. So the deck you incorporate all the All Mights, which include the DLC All Mights, and then there's a couple of utility cards there that you can include as well. But the deck is very much a 6 check deck with a bunch of powerful attacks. I'm just gonna casually add 3 momentum. I love it. That's so cool. All right, we're statting up our Detroit Smash. All Might 2, yeah, from the DLC. Decisions, right? Because you got to assume there's more gas coming down the pipeline, so. All right. On base, though, this attack is incredible. 6 speed, 6 damage. It looks like we're buffing it by 3, so we're at 9 damage at the moment. Versus the 7. I did not update life totals. Craft is at 7. We will attempt the block. We will check an attack here, and that's GG's. All right, so that's it. True Form taking down game 1 versus Kamui Woods, going into game 2. Just playing. Oh my god, I want to play this deck so bad. It's playing incredibly aggressive in that game, and like just having 6 check, 6 check, 6 check. Oh, that feels so good. All right, Small Might taking it down. You love to see these spicy decks make it in. All right, moving on to jeu numéro 2. That's game 2 for English folk. Super bummed out about missing this one weekly. First one I missed. Yeah, that's well. So it'll always be there for another one, homie. Every week, and if not this one, then there's the ones that you can utilize. Yeah, there's the ones that you can play in throughout the entirety of the week. You know, Carta, PPG, Red Riot. What's up, Labosh? How you doing? Hoping to see some DLC characters. I mean, we probably will, right? Ochako 2 has been incredibly popular in the past week with the release of the DLC. Small Might utilizes All Might 2, which is awesome. So I think we're definitely going to see a better spread. I think the community's been a little pessimistic about Ida 2, so I don't know how much we're going to see him, but you could see a contrarian, right? Someone just decide, you know what? I will run it. So this deck's so much fun. This deck looks like a lot of fun. It makes me want to build it, that's for sure. We need more Tsuyu? Hey, I'm a big Asui stan, so you're telling the right guy. So I believe, oh, switching out to Nomu here. Interesting. All right. So pivoting over to something which makes sense, right? Like it's this is a deck that can hit really hard, but like one of the things I will say is that a lot of All Might's attacks are base statted around 6-5, right? So it kind of mitigates the fact that like you don't need to jam a bunch of resources into getting to Nomu's threshold because you're already going to be there. So on that front, you're actually going into Nomu makes sense just because you want to mitigate your, like, you want to take away the potential to be blown out by like 10 plus damage attacks. But nevertheless, just because their base stats are incredibly well and it costs, and there's such a low opportunity cost for All Might to give them a quick buff to get them to that threshold, it's still definitely not a given for Nomu. Not in the slightest. I don't really have Eraser head deck, so I'm working on building an Asui in either Water or Life. That's awesome. I mean, I've heard Life Asui being the favorite at the moment. I'm partial to Water Asui, but that's just because I have a Shoto Water deck, so it's very easy to just throw her in there. Looks like we're gonna potentially see some punch-on-punch action, so we'll see how that goes. All right, we're gonna get our partial mulls in, and then we should be ready to go. All right, and we'll just kick us off while our opponent's shuffling, get that game speed up. And those are kind of things, right? Like, these are kind of shortcuts. Like, hey, if your opponent's just shuffling up, getting ready for the game, like, there's nothing wrong with just going through with your plays. Whoof, a full build. Wow. And he went first, so he opened up all gray. What an incredibly strong setup turn for Nomu. Wow, bro, just build 5 like it's nothing. And, like, Nomu only needs, like, 5, right? Like, this is an incredibly comfortable position for Nomu. Sure. While versions are great, Life is more resilient and bigger damage, while Water has far better defense. I think cards like Tape plus Ultra. True. Alright, so Coordinate Effort. Never don't have it. And then check the other two, because why not? Build 2 pass. Wow, and that is what you trade, right? Like, the deck's incredibly explosive, but you do put yourself in positions where build 2 is what the deck's going to do. That is commitment. Very nice. Alright, and the 3 life that we just take because our character is progressively passing away. What is this? Merciless? Yes, Merciless Rush over here as Craft's first swing. And you have to block this, right? Like, I mean, you don't. I mean, I guess you could just take 5, but like, you need to at least partial. You don't actually need to, actually. What I'm trying to say is you can't afford to full block. At 2 foundations, even though the deck lives and dies by checking 6s, nevertheless, I don't think you can really afford to go down to 1, so. Well, it looks like we're going to attempt it. Alright, so we're gonna block, and then we're gonna pop, I guess? Yep. I mean, I understand wanting to, like, maintain your life total because, like, the longer the game goes, but this is tough. Alright, and here comes another Merciless Rush, so another 5 damage swinging in at base. But checking a 3, so going to have to check down 3 more. Alright. I mean, there's not much consideration here, right? Like, the only enhances available at the moment are there for Small Might, so I'm going to see pinging down the 1 health. Going down to 34. And we're going to attempt to half lock. And we're going to pass the check. Going down to 21. Well, Nomu's doing what Nomu does best here, and just the amount of foundations that Nomu was able to build on turn 1 is just really letting it go. And, like, you know, at a minimum, your first 3 attacks are only going to be able to do 6. So, but once you get past that point, well, you know, there's another foundation. So, Jab is a good card. So. Has anyone tried Air Style Froppy? You get Denki, Bago, Jiro, and Ultraco to work with. That does sound pretty interesting. I think every time I dabble into Air, like, I understand there's Jiro there, which is fun, but Denki is always my favorite stuff to get into, so. So it looks like we're going to attempt to block here. And that's a whiff, so we're just going to end up taking this. So going down to 11, that's very scary. Alright, super rejuve, and then pass. 2 of them dealt damage. This is definitely an uphill battle for Small Might, especially since, like, again, you know, at the start of the turn, you go down. So already you're taking, like, significant chunks of damage. So your clock is very much tight here. Because the longer the game goes, you're just kind of dead to a poke at that point. And 1 foundation is just incredible. I mean, the deck can survive without it, right? Like, it's not mandatory, but the deck definitely would feel a little bit more comfortable having access to a couple of more. And yeah, it looks like we're just going to focus on building, which I think you kind of deprioritize doing. I don't think... Yeah, there we go. Like, build yourself a solid base. You know, he's already used 2 Merciless Rushes, so you don't have to worry about it too much. Banging on him, not seeing some more, and hopefully... It's tough, though, right? Because no matter what on your turn, even if this... Unlikely, but given that, let's say, you take no damage this turn, you're going down to then 5. Like, that's not... It's tough. I think Crone Frog Takedown should be in every Asui deck. In every Asui deck? Do I think... Takedown should be in every Asui deck? I think it's a good card, right? Like, it's just a free attack. I don't know if there's a reason not to, is kind of my big reason, right? But it is true that Asui herself already kicks attacks, so... But it depends, right? Like if you have reasons in your deck that you actually want to keep the card there and not just kick it out, it ready. So if you're like a deck that wants to ready a little bit more, it doesn't count towards progression. So it's like, it's a toss-up. I don't know if she goes into every deck, but there's a good argument to be made about running her in a good portion of decks. And you're not punished too hard for it. It's a 5 check 3, so, or 5 diff 3, which is pretty respectable. All right, looks like Nomu not seeing the orange he needed and just going for a slow build turn. 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're currently coasting at 9. There is also something to be said about not giving your opponent the opportunity to review, but it doesn't look like Akko wants to review here, so we're just going to go right into drawing our hand size and going from there. We also go down to 5, which is kind of ouch. All right, I'm gonna start swinging. Starting with a chop. But that's a lot of foundation. Like you're gonna be playing this entire turn poking with 6s, so it's gonna this is Nomi doesn't usually like chill at this much foundation, so there's a lot of just coast time for Nomu here, where it's gonna be very hard to be able. I don't think you're taking Nomu out at all this turn. All right, I'm going to take the 3. And looks like we're just going to keep on playing it slow. The thing is that the poke also provides momentum, so there is value in that. And we're just going to pass over to Nomu's turn. Review 1, draw. Here, obviously, Nomu trying to dig for some orange. And not only just orange, Nomu, being in the symbols that he is, actually has access to a bunch of punishing attacks. Attacks that, like, are, you lose if you take it, but you lose if you also don't take it. Just because, like, they punish you from blocking, so. But now, True Form has a bit more of that stage built out so that it's not terrible. 4 cards representing 4 blocks. Nomu having 5 cards to work with, and looks like we're just gonna keep on seeing gray. So yeah, we're just gonna build 1 pass. So Nomu having a tough time here finding that orange, or maybe just waiting for a better opening, right? The longer the game goes, Small Might just puts themselves into range. So like now at the start of this turn, we're sitting at 2. So I do believe Small Might, though, however, does say that he can't go below 1 with that ability, but nevertheless, whoa. Yeah, it doesn't reduce the health below 1, so at least there's that. Alright, Hardened Chop to kick it off. Checking another Hardened Chop, which is unfortunate, especially in this deck, but it's bound to happen eventually. Oh, we gotta lower down its damage by 2. We're gonna pitch a Small Might, buff up the damage, and then draw. Alright, we're going to commit just to take down 26. So taking a cool 5 from there. Now let's see what the follow-up is. I think this is Delaware. Missouri. My bad. I need to learn my US states a little bit better. Alright, we'll get the pitch, mitigate the buff, or the nerf. And then going up to an additional damage, so swinging in for 6. I'm gonna take 1 life. Kinda close, man. Or no, that's the 3 at the start of the turn. Right. Looks like we will block. Like an orange, but don't really mind. Nomu's in a coast position here. And that's the thing, right? Like, Nomu has the flex where, like, he can choose to take or he can choose to not take. But, you know, an orange check will definitely make it way harder, so. Coordinate effort's a good card. Are we going to continue showing some orange here? I mean, Kraft does draw an all gray, right? So eventually he's going to get to a position where he's going to see it. So you definitely need to keep on pushing it, I think. Just give yourself the best chance. I can't for the life tell me what this is. Okay, yeah, it was the Mighty Punch. It does look like we're gonna pass here, and well, best of luck to our Small Might here because, you know, if Nomu sees a gray, it'll be very tough. Are we gonna see a review? Yeah, I will say though, the fact that Nomu didn't block all that much did mean that there's not a great opportunity to cycle a bunch of cards out of the hand, so. Ooh, but Barrage is pretty good. Not a, well, you checked another Barrage, which is tough. It's not the end of the world, but it did cost you the 1. I will say though, the funny thing is about checking the Barrage is that if he has another in hand now, he can actually go and fetch it. So, right, well now you're gonna be forced to block everything here, right? So no matter what, you have to like full block, and not only do you have to full block, you have to full block everything. And Nomu doesn't have to bother actually buffing up the attack all that much because we're at a life total now where you either take it or you don't, you know. You take it for lethal or you don't take it, so. Alright, Coordinate Effort, getting that down. Turned out Coordinate Effort's a good card. 3, 6. Now, I think we are in Deadlock now, however. Not that it matters. The turn is looking at in here, and I don't know how powerful Deadlock abilities Samai currently has on his board, but. I mean, actually, we've been in Deadlock for a while now, if I'm counting properly. Oof. So we do have the attack check here. It's not too bad, right? Because the block modifier is incredibly good on character cards, but. Hey, there's the Barrage that he sent down into, and he's actually gonna be able to get another Barrage here, so. Very good combo here. So we're going to be swinging with multiple attacks here, and we are running out of blocks, right? We got 3 possible blocks. And they need to be full blocks. Let's not forget that, right? All of these blocks need to be full blocks for Small Mite to not die. And we're going to check another 6, so you're fine. Here comes another one. So at base, you don't need to pump this up. You know, unless All Might has some damaging, like, things that nullify damage or make damage smaller, you don't really need to worry about it. You can just keep on sending it. Alright, so there's another block. So we're blocking for 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. Is there another one? Yo, well, I mean, it is a Relentless Barrage, I guess. It's not impossible to block though, right? We're currently at 3 speed. No, this is impossible to block now, I think. Yeah. All right, so that's game 2. So game 2 going over to Nomu. Just really slow, unfortunately, on All Might. You know, basically being reset down to 1 foundation at the start of their second turn just makes it incredibly tough to be able to build some momentum from there. So we're going on to game 3. Is Deadlock scary enough to avoid so often? I rarely ever see anyone going... it depends. It's because not all decks... some symbols definitely have Deadlock abilities that kind of feel like... meh. But other Deadlock abilities can be completely game warping. So there are some symbols that have Deadlock abilities that are incredibly scary. You call the Nomu swap? Yeah, I think Nomu has a much better matchup here. Don't get me wrong, I think the Small Might aggro deck can still get there because you can like clear your card pool and chunky attacks, and all your attacks are at a base power where like you don't really need to commit resources to get them to that like Nomu like 6 damage bump. So no sides, so it looks like both players are very happy with their current main board, so we'll see what happens. You have to keep it out for which symbols to avoid going into Deadlock. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, you can just do like a Deadlock search on UVS Ultra, and from there you can kind of get an idea of what to look for. It's not too bad. Some colors are way worse than others, though, or some symbols are way worse than others, for sure. Interesting. So I guess Kraft opted to do his... I mean, I don't know if that's proper sequencing. I think you're supposed to wait for your turn before you do the review draw as the second player, but nevertheless, it's a shortcut. Oh, was it just a partial mull? I guess it was just a partial mull. It is a safe bet. If you're unsure, the safe bet is definitely just avoid Deadlock. Ooh, build 1. That is tough. If we see a Merciless Rush here, it's a pretty tough setback. I mean, it's an aggro deck, right? Like, you can do without foundations, but nevertheless. You will get a turn to be aggro at least before we see Merciless Rush kind of take damage here. So, yo, never not have coordinated effort. Card's so good. Alright, so we will take our 2 damage from our past 2 turns. And yeah, we're just gonna string. And the deck does run throws. Very nice. I mean, there's no reason not to, right? So reverse throw here, kicking us off. And it will probably draw another card, right? Like, I don't think Nomu is going to be blocking this, right? It's a throw. So you could prevent the 1 card draw, but I don't... I feel like you kind of want to save it for, like, your more impactful stuff. So we're just going to get the draw here, which is sick. Yeah, we're just going to keep on going. So, I remember my card names. Missouri Smash here now. Hey, I'm learning. So, sorry guys, I'm here all by my lonesome tonight. So I'm gonna be goofy from time to time, just to try and keep it entertaining. This attack deals damage. Build the next foundation you play face up. Pretty good. And if a punch has dealt damage this turn, draw 1 card. Pretty solid. And that's it, right? Like, base 5 damage, base 6 damage. Like, all your attacks are at this range where it's like, Nomu can't really mitigate what you're trying to do, and you don't actually need to put resources into actually trying to make it better. So, alright, and we did find that, so we should be able to just build this right away, right? Yep. And then go into another one, right? I presume. Or maybe just try and get the gray out of the way. That could work as well. Okay, yeah, so it does look like we're going to continue building, which I think is a pretty sweet spot, right? Like, you've dealt 10 damage. You're able to get yourself some gray to give yourself some breathing room, which is pretty decent as well. So, yeah, so I think 4 foundations, you have some character cards to block with your hand. You got some momentum to work with, which a lot of All Might's cards really appreciate momentum, so... I think Small Might's in a good position here, and it'll be Nomu to put some pressure that puts Small Might in like a tight position here. But Merciless Rush, that's right. That's what we're talking about, right? It's an incredibly good card in terms of this deck has so few foundations to be able to play around with that the more we can take those away, the tougher it'll be. But you can't just take it, right? Or you can half block it and kind of be in an okay position. Unless you blow up your own foundation, 10 US. Yeah. Generally speaking, if you're unsure about what deadlock abilities your opponent could be using, then like definitely just like coast at a lower foundation point. Alright, looks like we'll block with Might Punch. I think this is a half block. So I'll go ahead and take half damage and not blow up our foundation, which can't complain. It's probably the right move. Ooh. We got a Missouri Smash of our own. Pretty solid. Draws a card, makes some gas. Do be relentless. I mean, it did, you know, did match its name very well. Does look like we're going to high block. Oof, that's tough. But you can commit for it, so yeah, we're gonna see a commit. We're gonna block it. And are we gonna see some more? I do believe we saw some more orange, so it just depends how aggressive Kraft is feeling here. And yeah, it looks like we're gonna go back-to-back smash. Wait, they replace themselves, so like it's not that bad. You know, you'll draw your card and your hand's still gonna be solid, so it's a pretty low opportunity cost to try and get in some more damage. Mm-hmm. All right, looks like we're debating on what to do here. I mean, you're not at lethal, right? Like you're at a comfortable range, and at 25, you know, if you have a turn where you can like catch all evildoers and such, like it's not impossible. You keep your good blocks in case he tries to go too hard on it. No, we're just gonna see a super regen here, so it does look like Nomu's just going to leave it there. You know, we are down to 7 life at the start of our turn, which is tough, but nevertheless, we're in a position. You know, no true form is in a position here where they can definitely still chain enough attacks. They did it against Kamui Woods. And while it is harder to get big beefy attacks against Nomu, 2 cards in hand, you can definitely get to a spot where you chain enough attacks, especially with capture evildoers, where you can reset your card pool and keep on going, and then you can draw 3 cards by mitigating your maximum hand size. There are definitely lines here that allow for string attacks. So that was my very wordy way of saying that there's still a shot. I think right now the debate for Nomu might just be like, am I able to actually close it? That might be the decision here. Yeah, so we're going to go with a chop. And here, Nomu deciding, yeah, you know what? I probably can go for it. Yeah, we're going to buff up its damage, so now it is in lethal range. We're going to use Chop to replace our foundation. You can't take it, so it just looks like we're going to send that. So we're sending in 10 damage, and we're saying you got to block. So, okay, so I preemptively put him at 7. He's not at 7, he's actually at 10. 7 will be the start of his turn, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. And that's a scoop. That's it. Checking the 3 means that the attack will not be successfully blocked. And that's it. Nomu slash Kamui Woods taking it down games 2 and 3 for the first round. Very well done to both players. Super solid game. That was a good time. I thoroughly enjoyed that. That was good. Very well done both players. A lot of very spicy decks. Seeing anytime we get to see True Form is honestly an honor. It's such a good time to see that deck do what it does. So, let's see. So 7:40, 30 minutes in round. So we should be in time, right? About now. Good games. Very solid games. Our 30 minutes as of 25 minutes ago. So it looks like we have 5 minutes to go in the round. And then we'll be jumping into a little thing afterwards. So we'll be seeing where that goes. So just checking in to see where the tournament is. Yeah, those are super solid games, super good time. Players are wrapping up their tables, so we'll go ahead and let them wrap up. We got about 5 minutes to go before that's all good. So we'll take a break now, as opposed to taking a break later, because we do have something to showcase in between the rounds. So what we'll do is we'll come back from our break right before the start of round 2, so that we can show something a little spicy to you guys. Have a little fun with that, and then we'll be jumping into the round 2 gameplay. So with that said, guys, go get your water, go get your snacks, get ready for round 2, kick back, relax, and we'll be right back to showcase some awesomeness, and then after that, see the second round of the Webcam Weeklies.